This video will help you in reviewing how to solve equations. This will help with reviewing solving both one-step and two-step equations. In order to solve an equation, you perform an inverse or an opposite operation on both sides of the equation in order to isolate the variable and balance the equation. In this example, x minus 12 equals 18. To isolate the variable of x, you use the opposite operation, and the opposite of minus 12 is to add 12 to both sides of the equation. As you see, we added 12 on both sides. Negative 12 plus positive 12 will cancel, leaving you with x on the left-hand side of the equation, the equal sign. And then you're going to add 18 and 12 to get 30. So x would equal 30. Let's try a few one-step equation examples. Our first one is x plus 5 equals 13. In order to isolate the x, we want to do the opposite of plus 5, and we're going to subtract 5 on both sides of the equal sign. When you do that, the positive 5 and the negative 5 will cancel, leaving you with just the x. And on the opposite side of the equal sign, you have 13 minus 5, which gives you the answer of 8. And you can check your answer by plugging your 8 back into your original problem and say 8 plus 5, does that equal 13? 8 plus 5 is 13, so it does check out and is correct. Your second problem is x divided by 2 equals 13. The opposite of division is multiplication. So in order to get the x by itself, we're going to multiply both sides by 2. So all I do is just circle my 2 and my 13 and show that I'm going to multiply. So that's going to leave me with x equals, and 13 times 2 would leave me 26. Now you may have also seen, if you had this same problem, sometimes you see people multiply both sides by 2 this way, and that is another option because these 2's will cancel. X equals 26, you will get the same answer. Again, you can check your answer by plugging in your 26 into your original problem. 26 divided by 2, that does give me 13, so it does check out. And then our final example here is negative 5x equals negative 25. Negative 5x is a multiplication problem. The opposite of multiplication is division. So in order to isolate the x, I need to divide both sides by negative 5, since that is what is currently with the variable. These will cancel, leaving me with the x equals negative 25 divided by negative 5 will give me a positive 5. Next, we are going to solve two-step equations. And it says exactly what you have to do. You have to perform 2 steps to get to your answer. Step number 1 is always to remove or undo the addition or subtraction using the inverse or opposite operation. And then step number 2, you undo or remove the multiplication or division using inverse operations. So here's our example. 4x minus 8 equals 12. The first thing you do is look at your problem and see if you have any addition or subtraction. If you do, that's what you want to remove first. So in order to get rid of the negative 8, we would do the opposite, and we would add 8 to both sides of the equation so that it will balance. That's going to leave me with 4x equals 12. 4x is multiplication, so the opposite of multiplication is division. So in order to get x by itself, I need to divide both sides by 4. When I do that, 20 divided by 4 leaves me 5, so x equals 5. You can check your answer by substituting the variable back into the original problem. So we have the variable of x equals 5. We're going to plug that back into the original, so 4 times x. Instead of the x, we're going to say 5, so 4 times 5 minus 8. 4 times 5 is 20. 20 minus 8 is 12. And our original equation said the problem should have equaled 12, so we are correct in our answer. We have two two-step equation examples that we're going to work together. So the first one, 5m plus 2 equals 47. We want to undo the addition or subtraction. So the opposite of a plus 2 would be minus 2 to both sides of the equal sign. That will cause the positive 2 and the negative 2 to cancel, leaving me with 5m equals 45. Your goal is to isolate the variable. So whatever is by the variable is what you're trying to remove. 5m is multiplication. The opposite would be division. So I need to divide both sides by 5. And when I do that, I have m equals 9. Remember, you can check your answer by substituting back into the original problem, which would be 5, instead of m, we'll say times 9 plus 2. 5 times 9 is 45, and 45 plus 2 is 47, which is what our original problem said we needed to equal. So we know our answer is correct. Moving on to the second example, x over 2, or x divided by 2, plus 5 equals 7. I need to get the variable by itself. First thing I want to do is get rid of the addition or subtraction. So I'm going to subtract 5 on both sides, causing that to cancel, leaving me with x over 2 equals, and then 7 minus 5 would give me 2. I still need to work on isolating the variable. X divided by 2, I need to get rid of the 2 in the denominator, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 2, or multiply the 2 and the 2 together. That will leave me with x equals 4. Remember, you can substitute back into your problem and say 4 divided by 2 would be 2, and then 2 plus 5 does give me the 7, so my answer does check. Now you have 5 problems that I would like for you to work individually on your paper in your notes. You need to pause your video and solve your problems. Remember, you have an option to check your answers for accuracy to make sure that you have got the correct responses. So remember to pause your video and work these 5 problems. Now that you have had a chance to work your 5 problems, let's check your answers and your work to see if you were correct. So with the first problem, we want to isolate the negative 6b by getting rid of the addition or the subtraction of 7. So the opposite of a minus 7 is to add 7 to both sides of the equal sign. Your 7s are going to cancel here since they're exact opposites, leaving me with negative 6b equals 54. Negative 6b is multiplication, so the opposite or inverse operation is division. So we're going to divide both sides by negative 6, and b would equal negative 9. The next problem, 18 equals a over 2. A over 2 is division. Opposite of division, to get a by itself, is multiplication. I would multiply my 2 and my 18, so a equals 36. And 36 equals a is the same answer. The next problem is a multiplication problem. I'm trying to isolate the variable. The opposite of multiplication is division, so in order to get y by itself, I need to divide both sides by 8. When I do that, 8 divided by 8 will give me 1, or it'll cancel out. You can just have y. So I have y equals, and 48 divided by 8 is 6. The next problem, 3 plus x divided by 7 equals 1. I have to start out by getting rid of addition or subtraction. X divided by 7 is not addition or subtraction, so we need to get rid of the 3 first. The opposite of a positive 3 is a minus 3 or a negative 3. So these 3's will cancel over on the left-hand side, leaving me with x over 7 equals 1 minus 3 is going to give me negative 2. In order to isolate the variable at this point, I need to multiply by 7. So x equals negative 14. And finally, in order to get the letter P by itself, I need to subtract 8.8 on both sides of the equal sign. This will allow the 8.8 and the negative 8.8 to cancel out this by the variable, which will give me my variable of P by itself. This is negative 7.4 minus 8.8, or you can also think of it as a negative 7.4 combined with a negative 8.8. But this will give you negative 16.2. You have to really be careful with that one because of the integer rules. So hopefully this video has helped you in refreshing your equation steps.